Ken Urker, Gypsy Rose Blanchard's boyfriend, recently went live and absolutely unloaded on the internet, dragging haters, clapping back at wild rumors, and giving everyone a very real inside look at what he and Gypsy have been dealing with behind closed doors. And babe, when I say it was a roller coaster, I mean it. He spilled everything from CPS pulling up at their house to being accused of being on drugs, and even addressed one of the most unhinged rumors out there, that their baby Aurora might not even be real. It all started with Ken calling out the constant speculation people have about their lives. He mocked how people jump to the craziest conclusions over literally anything. According to him, the moment Gypsy lost a bit of weight, the trolls screamed she was on Ozempic. If he so much as sniffles, someone's claiming he's on hard drugs. And if he were to suddenly get into shape over the next few months? Oh, then he must be on steroids. It doesn't matter what the situation is, people will always reach for the most dramatic, most extreme explanation possible, even if it's completely baseless. He made it clear he's tired of constantly being under a microscope and having every little thing twisted into some kind of scandal. Then things got way more intense when Ken revealed that CPS actually showed up at their home not long ago. And no, it wasn't just a quick check-in. They came in, fully inspected the place, and took photos of everything, the fridge, their drawers, even their bedroom. But here's the part that really hits. Ken said they were expecting this. Before Aurora was even born, he and Gypsy had already discussed the likelihood of CPS being called on them because of all the online hate. They knew the trolls would eventually take it that far, and unfortunately, they were right. Ken said the accusations that triggered the CPS visit were absolutely ridiculous, claims that they were neglecting Aurora, leaving her at home to go out and party, and even that they were doing reckless things like blowing air in her face. He flat out called it all BS. And to prove their innocence, both he and Gypsy cooperated fully with the caseworker, doing separate interviews, allowing photos to be taken of their home, and submitting to drug tests. Not just urine tests either. Ken made a point to say they gave hair samples too, which show long-term drug use. The results came back clean across the board, and eventually, the case was closed. According to Ken, that should speak for itself. When fans in the live asked him to show documentation proving the case was closed, Ken said he wouldn't be doing that because the letter has their address on it and it's just not necessary. In his words, the case is closed. CPS did their job. We were cleared. That's all people need to know. He stressed that he doesn't fear CPS because he knows Aurora is safe, happy, and cared for. He admitted that, yes, this is his first child and he's still learning, but he insisted that she has never been in danger, and never would be. What really bothered him is how far people are willing to stretch a narrative, like the theory that he'd be on a live stream, then suddenly pan the camera away and kneel out of frame to supposedly use something. He didn't say what exactly, probably to avoid getting flagged or kicked off the platform, but it was clear what he was referring to, and he called it absolutely insane. And just when you think it couldn't get more unhinged, Ken brought up one of the wildest rumors that's been floating around. Apparently, there are actually people online who think that Aurora isn't real. That the pregnancy was staged, that everything was faked for attention or clout. Ken couldn't believe it, and honestly, neither could anyone watching. He seemed baffled that anyone could be so delusional. But then came the moment that really set him off. He called out someone named Ryan, and yes, that Ryan, who apparently went on his own livestream and called Ken a dopehead. Ken wasn't having it. He called the accusation hypocritical and pointed out that Ryan is on a daily prescription medication himself. He didn't reveal the name, but strongly implied it was something often used in addiction treatment or mental health recovery. Ken made it clear he isn't shaming anyone for being on medication if it's helping them stay clean or live a better life. But what he did have a problem with is someone on a controlled substance turning around and trying to drag him with baseless claims. You've got some nerve, he said, with a mix of disbelief and anger. He also reminded everyone that if he were actually using anything, knowing CPS could show up again at any time, it would be unbelievably stupid. Why would I risk everything like that? He asked. It doesn't even make sense. He told viewers that they could believe whatever they want, but those are the facts, and facts don't change just because someone refuses to accept them. In the continuation of his fiery live stream, Ken kept the energy going, this time taking aim directly at Ryan once again, dragging him for what he claims is an ongoing obsession. According to Ken, it's always the same pattern, Ryan going live and immediately name-dropping either him or Gypsy. That's all this guy ever does, Ken said, shaking his head in disbelief. Here's my challenge to you, Ryan, just go live one time without mentioning me or Gypsy. Just once. Let's see if you can actually do it. Ken clearly felt like the obsession had crossed a line. He pointed out how it's been over a year and yet Ryan continues to use their names for clout, refusing to let go or move on. You've been riding these coattails long enough, Ken snapped. Try talking about literally anything else, wrestling, your life, whatever. If you can hold an audience without constantly dragging our names into your mess, great. But you clearly can't. He also couldn't resist bringing up the hypocrisy again. The fact that you sit there on your live stream pointing the finger at me and accusing me of being on substances when you're out here taking a daily prescription yourself? It's laughable, he said, rolling his eyes. You've got some nerve. But then the mood took a more serious turn. Ken admitted that while he doesn't fear CPS or the accusations thrown at him online, what he does fear is the very real threat to their safety. Their home address, he says, has already been leaked and he's seen it circulating on TikTok and other platforms. I'm not being dramatic when I say this, I'm scared that one day we're going to get swatted, or worse, that a brick's gonna come flying through our window and hit Aurora. That's a fear no parent should ever have. As if on cue, his live stream was suddenly restricted, likely due to the topics he was discussing, but Ken just restarted it without missing a beat. I knew it'd happen, he said. You have to watch every little word now. But whatever, I'll just restart it. He addressed the people in his live chat too, apologizing if he missed any gift shoutouts and thanking everyone for the support. Then he circled back to the idea that people think he's exaggerating when he expresses fear over being doxxed or attacked. To anyone saying I'm being dramatic, have you ever had strangers post pictures of your house? Your baby's home. Do you know what that kind of anxiety feels like? Because I do, he said. You don't understand unless you've been through it. He admitted that none of the internet drama really matters to him in the end, not TikTok, not cameos, not social media followers. I don't post content begging for gifts. I don't do cameos trying to hustle you for a shout out. None of that matters to me. The only thing I care about is my family. Aurora and Gypsy, that's it. He explained that they do what they can to keep their home safe. Their neighbors are aware of the situation and they all look out for one another. But when internet hate spills into the real world, that's a whole different kind of scary. It's one thing to deal with trolls online. It's another when they start creeping into your real life. That's when it gets dangerous. Ken then brought up Gypsy's newest hobby, painting. Apparently, she recently tried to start an Etsy shop anonymously to sell her art, just a quiet side hustle without her name attached to it. But it didn't stay under the radar for long. People figured it out and started attacking her for it. For what? For painting? For doing something creative and peaceful, he asked, clearly fed up. Let the girl live. Let her have her thing. He started to wind things down, saying this live wasn't meant to be super long and that he'd touched on most of what he needed to say. But he made one final plea, for people to leave Gypsy alone. She's not even on social media anymore. She's deactivated everything. She just wants to live a quiet life, raise her baby, and have some peace. That's not too much to ask. Ken thanked everyone who had been sending love and support, saying the family was doing well. Aurora, he shared, was in the room smiling, happy, and completely unaware of the chaos happening outside their little bubble. He admitted that he wishes he could share pictures of her, because like any proud dad, he thinks she's the most beautiful baby in the world, but he simply can't. The internet is just too cruel. I know every dad says their baby is the cutest, but in this case, it's actually true. Anyone who's seen her knows it. She's so loved. He said he's not willing to risk Aurora's safety just for a few likes or comments. That's why there are no public photos, no updates, just quiet moments behind the scenes that the world doesn't get to see. And no, he confirmed, he and Gypsy aren't married yet. Ken ended the live stream the way he began, unapologetically honest and protective. He made it clear that he's not here for internet fame or attention. He just wants his family safe, happy, and left alone. And after everything they've been through, from CPS investigations and public smear campaigns to doxing and real-life threats, it's no surprise he's finally saying enough is enough. In a no-holds-barred moment, Ken shut down the ongoing internet whisper campaign accusing him of stealing Gypsy Rose from her ex-husband, Ryan Anderson. And babe, the way he cleared that up? Savage. Ken didn't hold back. He looked straight into the camera and said, "Let me just end this once and for all, I didn't take anybody's wife." According to Ken, the reality that Ryan just can't seem to face is that Gypsy left him, period. It wasn't some dramatic love triangle or a sneaky behind-the-scenes betrayal. Ken claims Gypsy made the decision all on her own, realizing she didn't want to be with Ryan anymore, and only after that did she and Ken start their relationship. And the shade didn't stop there. Ken added that everyone has free will and Gypsy simply exercised hers, choosing to walk away and start fresh. So, those rumors about Ken being the guy who came in and wrecked a marriage? He's calling BS, loudly. Then, as if signing off with a mic drop, Ken circled back to Ryan one last time, throwing in a final jab. He called out Ryan's habit of going live, asking for gifts, and allegedly fueling drama for attention, hinting that Ryan's entire audience thrives on stirring the pot. Ken said he's done responding, but not before making it clear, "We've moved on with our lives. It's time you move on with yours." So, whether Ryan claps back or not, one thing's for sure, Ken's not biting anymore. But knowing how this saga's been playing out, don't be surprised if there's another twist coming real soon. And that's the tea for now, babes. If you thought this was wild, just wait, because something tells me this drama isn't over yet. Don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more piping hot updates. Until next time, stay messy.
The most ridiculous of conclusions. Like when Gypsy lost 40 pounds, it was, oh, she must be on Ozempic. If I'm sniffling, oh, he must be on hardcore, you know what? It's always gonna, if I were to just get ripped over the next 6 months, which won't happen, by the way, but if I did, it'd be, oh, he's on steroids. It's always going to be the most dramatic conclusion as possible. And if you don't believe me, which I'm sure a lot of you don't have to take my word for it. Let's go ahead and talk about CPS. And maybe you can take this as facts. So before Aurora was born, we kind of knew that CPS would definitely be called on us by our snarks and haters and trolls. And we prepared for it. We knew that it's an unfortunate reality that we knew we were going to deal with. And, they're going to report a bunch of false allegations against us, false lies, and, just attack us in any way they can and just cause an uproar and, hurt us as much as they can. So one day CPS comes by our house. This is not too long ago. And, we're fully cooperative. So we let them come in. They toured our house, took pictures of everything, even took pictures inside of our fridge for whatever reason, took pictures of the inside of our drawers in our room, all kinds of crazy stuff. And of course they tested us, because these allegations were, we're neglecting Aurora, we're leaving her at home to go out and party, and we're blowing wind in her face and just not taking care of her. It was all false, all BS. And so I knew that, inevitably we'd have to deal with a caseworker. And so she came over, she interviewed us separately, toured our house, took pictures of everything, made sure. And I'm trying to watch my verbiage on this because I know there are a lot of things you can say to get banned or get your live kicked off. So words that I would never say. They made sure all of our pew-pews were locked up correctly and made sure that we didn't have any chemicals out and available. Just all the normal stuff. And then they, of course, tested us. And not only were UAs given, but hair was given. Okay. And just recently, as of a few months ago, our case was closed because nothing comes back. And they realized that as much as you guys don't want it to be true, as much as a lot of our haters and snarks there don't want it to be true, Aurora is in a very safe environment and in a very well taken care of household. And that's just the reality that y'all have to get over. So if you don't believe me when I say that I'm not using anything, you can believe the fact that our case file is closed and that we were tested and for that case file to be closed. And our caseworker even told us, unfortunately, because of y'all's notoriety, I don't expect these false calls to stop coming in, just like with her PO, all the time, false calls, lies, etc. So for me to go and develop a habit right now, knowing that, any day they can come knock on my door again, it's just ridiculous. It's out of the question, and it's just never going to happen. So you believe what you want, but that's the facts and that's the reality. So yeah, it's an unfortunate thing that we have to deal with. I don't fear CPS. We're very cooperative with them. And no, I'm not going to show the letter that proves our case was closed because it has our address on it. So I'm not going to show that, and it's unnecessary. But I don't fear CPS because, again, we know that Aurora is very well taken care of. She's in a very happy home. And as much as y'all don't want to believe that, it doesn't matter because that's the truth. And that's what we focus on. We focus on being parents, and of course we make mistakes. I've done things that I'm learning. This is my first child, but Aurora has never been in any kind of danger and never would be. To think that I would go live in my hotel room and pan the camera away and kneel over and, I got to watch my verbiage here. Well, I mean, that's obvious. That's obvious that, yeah, of course, the pew-pews are mine. Yeah, definitely. It's insane, But that's like I said, people jump to the most wildest and most ridiculous of conclusions from every little microanalyzation of our lives. And that's the way it'll always be. We've been battling insane rumors from Jump Street, the fact that people think that Aurora isn't real and that we faked a pregnancy. And, 2 months ago, I was accused of being on different, substances. And the month before that, it was a different one. And it's never going to stop. It's a never ending battle. But I just find it hilarious that Ryan, of all people, is going to come on his live and point his finger at me and accuse me and call me a dope head, which I don't know. If this live gets kicked off for the things that I'm saying, then I'll have to just make a video and post it to X because that's the only platform I think I can talk about certain things without being shut down. So, but I think that it's hilarious that out of all people, he's going to be the one that points his finger at me and accuses me and calls me out and calls me a dope head when he himself is on a daily prescription substance medication, And that was, brought to light, recently. So, I mean, and I'm not knocking anybody who's on that particular prescription. If it helps you turn your life around and it helps you stay sober or get off street drugs or whatever. I said the bad word. Then I'm all for it. Good for you. But you just have some nerve to be on that daily certain substance and then point a finger at me and call me a dope head. That to me is hilarious and insane. But it's always going to be the case with this guy, that's all that he's ever going to do. He's never not going to go live. Here's my new challenge. My new challenge for you, Ryan, is this: go live one time without mentioning my name or mentioning Gypsy's name once. Let's see if you can do that. It's been over a year. It's time for you to just move on with your life and get off these coattails you keep riding, and stop mentioning us. And I won't have to come back here and talk about you again. I'm only even doing this live to address your ridiculousness that you did last night. So that's just the way it is. And if you can, keep an audience off of different subjects, if you want to talk about whatever is interesting in your life, wrestling, whatever the hell it is, and retain an audience that way, then it's a win-win. Good for you. Move on with yourself. But the fact that you always go live and it is inevitable that you mention me, you mention Gypsy, you talk your trash. Is it really all that you have? Dude, move on with yourself. It's really sad at this point. And then again, the nerve that you have to point a finger at me and accuse me of being on substances is just hilarious. And like I said, moving on from that, I don't fear CPS at all, but I do fear for my safety. I fear for Gypsy's safety, and of course I fear for Aurora's safety. Because our address has been leaked. I've seen it on TikTok. I've seen it on other forums and etc. So yeah, I do worry that one day, any day now, we're going to get swatted, or a brick's going to come through my window and hit Aurora or something like that. Things that no parent should ever have to worry about. Okay, so now my life's been restricted. That's fine. Okay. See, I know that if I mention certain things, it's going to get restricted. It hasn't been shut down. Restart? Okay, well, I'll restart. Okay, well, I'll restart some viewers. I think we can all join back now. All right. I guess I had to restart because, again, you know, you really have to watch your verbiage, you know, which I get carried away and forget. There is no topic. I'm just talking about certain things. All right. So some people say that I'm being dramatic by even mentioning the fear of being swatted. Are you kidding me? Like that to me is insane. Thank you for the gifts, guys. I'm sorry if you gift me and I don't always shout your name out. Thank you, Angel. I'll do my best to, but I'm not the best at it. So I don't think it's ridiculous at all for me to fear these things. You know, with the amount of certain threats that we get all the time from all different kinds of walks of life and all different kinds of people on all different platforms. You know, these are things that most people don't ever have to deal with, so you don't understand the anxiety that comes along with it. And nothing is more important to me than my family. At the end of the day, this is all for the birds. I don't care about TikTok. You don't ever see me post content. I don't do lives begging for gifts. I don't set up cameos begging you to go buy one. You know, I don't care about any of this stuff. Really, I don't. All that I really care about is my family. You know, Aurora and Gypsy and my safety is all that matters to me. So, yeah, you know, and when I see people post my address, post pictures of my house, and knowing that I can't just up and move on a whim, it definitely creates a realm of anxiety. And I just do the best I can to make sure everyone's safe. You know, we keep this house as safe as we can. All of our neighbors know us, and we're friends with all of them, and they look out for us too, which I thank God for that. But you know, when you take your internet hate and you put it into the real world, it's two different monsters, you know. And I've seen people cross that bridge, and it's scary. So that's just the way that it is. Now, so I've touched on most of the topics I want to talk about. Like I said, this isn't going to be a super long live. But another thing I want to talk about is Gypsy's new hobby, where she makes artwork. You know, this is a new hobby for her. She spends a lot of her time doing it. And she wanted to create an Etsy shop without her name attached to it and just put out paintings and see if anybody wants to, you know, buy some. And unfortunately, you know, it got outed what her page was, but, you know, I think that it's crazy to attack her for that, for just having a little side hustle and a little hobby. Like, let her have her thing. I don't know why this is a big deal to people. And yeah, just leave the girl alone. Like, let her just live her life. I don't understand why the constant attacks. So anyway, that's pretty much all that I wanted to talk about today. There's not much else I have to say, so I'm just reading some of these questions here. Again, you know, like, Gypsy's she's a mother. She's trying to make a little side income. She's off social media. She's, you know, deactivated all of her accounts and just trying to live a little bit more private. So just let her live, you know. Thank you for all the blessings. Thank you for all the support, everyone. And let's see. Is there anything else I need to talk about? That's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, I said this was going to be a long one. All right. Again, you know, everything is okay. The family's good. We're happy. Aurora's happy. She's over there smiling right now. And I wish that I could post pictures of Aurora. I really wish I could. I wish that I had the freedom to do that. But there's just too much hate in this world. And there's just too many nasty people out there who I don't want to take a picture of her and bully a baby and make, you know, attack an innocent child which is why I don't post her. So the reality is she's the most gorgeous baby in the world. I know that every father says that about their kid, but she really is. And for everybody in our circle and all of our friends who have gotten the chance to see her, you know, she's very well loved. And she's in a really good circle of good people. And but yeah, I can't post her online. I'm not able to do that because there's just too much hate and cruelty on the internet. So no, we're not married yet. Anyway, that's all I have. So I think I've touched on most things I need to touch on. If I have to come back and here's another thing, I'm not going to readdress Ryan anymore. We all know that he's going to go live again whenever his little ban is over and beg y'all for gifts and donations and buy his cameos to support his gambling addiction or whatever. And, you know, he'll talk about me again and make a bunch of ridiculous, you know, statements again. And I'm not going to come back and respond. I'm just not. It's time for you to move on with your life and we'll move on with our lives. There's no reason to talk about you. There's no reason to talk about me. And, you know, let's see if you can do that. Let's see if you can actually just move on with yourself, dude. It's time, you know, but I don't think you will, because I think that you also realize that it's really kind of all you have. It's the driving force of your audience. So we'll see. We'll see. And with that, I'm going to leave on this. All right, this is the last thing I'm going to do before I leave. Okay, so to everybody who tells me I took his wife, okay, let me respond to that. I didn't take anybody's wife. The reality that he has a hard time gripping is that Gypsy left him. Gypsy didn't want to be with him anymore, and then we got together. So I didn't take anybody from anything. Okay, everybody has their own right to live in, you know, do what they want to do, and Gypsy decided, and that's just the reality. So to say that I took her from him is just a crazy statement. She had the option and the free will, and she made the decision to leave him because she realized she didn't want to be with the dude anymore. And then we got together. So no, I didn't take anyone from anyone. And the last thing I want to do is leave with this. There you go. There you go.